The massive Vraxian dreadnought Sovereign Dominion hung in space like a jagged metallic thundercloud, its weapons ports glowing with ominous energy as it faced the comparatively diminutive human vessel. Admiral Cathar, his carapace gleaming, under the harsh light of the command bridge, clicked his mandibles in amusement. This is what the Terrans send to negotiate? A single ship barely 1/10 our size? He gestured at the view screen with a clawed appendage. These mammals truly do not understand their place in the galactic order. His second-in-command, Subcommander Nexus, hissed in agreement. Intelligence reports indicate their technology is at least 3 generations behind ours. Their shields cannot withstand even our tertiary weapon systems. The Vraxians had encountered 17 sentient species since gaining interstellar capability. 16 had quickly submitted to their rule. The 17th, a species called the Alluvians, had fought back and been reduced to a cautionary tale. Humans would be the 18th to join the Vraxian hegemony, willingly or otherwise. Aboard, the UES Defiance. Captain Alara Voss stood with hands clasped behind her back, studying the alien vessel through the bridge viewport. Her weathered face betrayed no emotion, but her ice-blue eyes calculated distances, angles, vulnerabilities. "They're scanning us," reported Lieutenant Riven, his fingers dancing across the tactical console. "Deep penetration scans. They're not, even trying to be subtle about it." "Let them look," Voss replied, her voice carrying the hint of a smile. "They'll see exactly what we want them to see." Communications Officer Pax Mendari turned from her station. "Captain, they're hailing us." "On." "Screen!" Admiral Cathar's insectoid face filled the view screen, mandibles twitching in what the translation algorithm identified as smug superiority. "Terran vessel," the alien's translated voice boomed. "I am Admiral Cathar of the Vraxian hegemony. Your species has encroached upon space claimed by our empire. As representatives of your government, you will accept our terms of surrender and integration." Captain Voss raised an eyebrow. "Admiral, we came to establish diplomatic relations, not to surrender." "Diplomacy is for equals," Cathar clicked dismissively. "The hegemony does not negotiate with lesser species. We have studied your vessel. Your technology is primitive, your weapons are inadequate, your defenses would collapse within moments of engagement." "Is that your assessment?" Voss asked, her tone neutral. "It is fact," Cathar replied. "You may choose submission now and preserve your dignity, or resistance and face humiliation before submission. The outcome remains the same." Voss shared a brief glance with her XO, Commander Dravik Orlov, whose dark eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Admiral," Voss responded, "humanity has a saying, appearances can be deceiving." Cathar's translator rendered his clicking sound as laughter. "A philosophy embraced by the weak to comfort themselves. You have 6 of your hours to prepare for our boarding parties. We will begin the integration of your species immediately." The transmission ended abruptly. "Well," Orlov said dryly, "that went exactly as intelligence predicted." Voss nodded. "They see what they expect to see. Pride before the fall." She tapped her communication badge. "Bridge to engineering. Commander Lux, are we ready to proceed with Operation Trojan?" A husky voice responded from below decks. "All systems primed, Captain. The package is ready for delivery." "Excellent." Voss turned to her bridge crew. "The Vraxians have conquered 16 species through intimidation and 1 through genocide. They judge us by our apparent strength and find us wanting." Her lips curved into a smile that never reached her eyes. "They're about to learn that humanity's true strength has never been in the size of our ships or the power of our weapons." Lieutenant Riven looked up from his console. "Captain, they're deploying fighters. 24 craft on intercept trajectories." "Right on schedule," Voss murmured. "Battle stations. Let's show these bugs what one human vessel can do." The Vraxian fighters surrounded the Defiance like predators circling wounded prey. Their sleek, chitinous hulls reflected starlight as they maintained formation, weapons charged, but not yet firing. On the bridge of the Sovereign Dominion, Admiral Cathar observed with satisfaction. Look how they tremble. Their engines are fluctuating, signs of a vessel preparing to surrender. Sub-Commander Nexus chittered in agreement. The psychological effect of our fighter deployment never fails. Their primitive sensors must be overwhelmed. Begin. The protocol, Cathar commanded. Disable their propulsion systems first. 12 fighters broke formation, their targeting systems locking onto the human vessel's engines. The first volley of energy pulses streaked across space, striking the Defiance's hull with pinpoint precision. Captain Voss barely flinched as her ship shuddered under the impact. Damage report. Surface scorching only, Orlov replied, examining his console. Their weapons are precisely calibrated to damage our engines without breaching the hull. They want us intact. Of course they do. Voss nodded. Status of our masking systems? Lieutenant Riven checked his readings. Power fluctuations registering exactly as programmed. To their scanners, we appear to be losing propulsion capability. Engineering. To bridge. Commander Lux's voice crackled over the comm. The engine signature modulation is working perfectly. They think they've crippled us. Excellent. Voss turned to communications. Mendari, prepare a distress signal on the frequency. Intelligence intercepted. Make it sound desperate but not panicked. Pax Mendari nodded, her dark fingers working rapidly across her console. Message ready, Captain. Transmit. The Vraxian command bridge erupted in chittering laughter as the human distress call played. Through their translation systems. Attention, any UES vessels. This is Defiance. Propulsion systems critically damaged. Request immediate assistance. Unable to escape Vraxian attack formation. Admiral Cathar's compound eyes gleamed. Pathetic. These mammals break so easily. Admiral, one of his technicians called out. The human vessel is attempting to activate some form of defensive shield, but their power grid appears inadequate. As expected, Cathar replied. Prepare boarding parties. I want their command staff captured alive for the subjugation ceremony. Aboard the Defiance, the bridge crew maintained their composure as they executed each phase of their mission with precision. They're preparing boarding craft, Riven reported. 12 warriors per shuttle, standard Vraxian invasion protocol. Voss nodded. And the main dreadnought? Maintaining position. Their shields are at minimal power. They don't consider us a threat. Perfect. Voss activated her command channel. Dr. Nasira, status of the payload? From the science lab, Dr. Econ Nasira responded, his voice steady, despite the tension. Quantum entanglement matrix stable. Phase shifting capability at optimal levels. The package is ready for delivery, Captain. Commence final preparations. Orlov, are our special guests ready? Commander Orlov checked his tactical readout. Omega team is in position. All members report ready status. Voss activated the ship-wide communication system. All hands, this is the captain. Phase 1 complete. Begin Phase 2. Throughout the ship, hidden compartments opened as crew members retrieved specialized equipment. In the cargo bay, a team of 12 soldiers in matte black combat suits performed final checks on their weapons. Their leader, Major Lian Zhao, nodded to her squad. Remember your training, she told them quietly. These Vraxians have never encountered human resistance. They have no idea what we're capable of. Back on the bridge, Voss watched as the first Vraxian boarding shuttle approached their seemingly crippled vessel. They believe their victory is assured, she said, almost to herself. That's the advantage we needed. The first boarding shuttle latched onto the Defiance's airlock with a metallic clang that reverberated through the hull. Let them come, Voss said, her voice hardening. It's time they learned that humans are the worst species in the galaxy to underestimate. The airlock hissed open. 6 Vraxian warriors, their exoskeletons enhanced with battle armor, chittered in anticipation as they entered the Defiance. Their mandibles clicked and clacked in their native language, translators hanging from their thoraxes. "Spread out," ordered their squad leader. "Secure the immediate area and locate the bridge. Remember, minimal damage to the vessel." The corridor before them was empty, dimly lit by emergency lighting. The ship's life support systems hummed quietly, sound unfamiliar to beings whose own vessels thrummed with the vibrations of much more powerful technology. "Primitive engineering," one warrior commented, scanning the walls with his optical implants. "Their metallurgical techniques are centuries behind ours." The squad leader gestured forward. "Advance with caution. Even primitive creatures can be dangerous when cornered." They moved deeper into the ship, mandibles twitching at the strange smells, human biochemistry, synthetic materials they didn't recognize, and something else. Something that triggered ancestral warning signals in their brains. The first warrior turned a corner and froze. The corridor ahead was completely dark. His enhanced vision could detect no movement, no heat signatures. "Sector clear," he reported, moving forward cautiously. From the shadows, silent as death itself, Major Zhao and her team watched through specialized visors. The Vraxian warriors passed directly beneath them, entirely unaware of the humans clinging to recessed ceiling compartments specifically designed for this purpose. On the bridge, Captain Voss monitored the situation through Omega Team's helmet cameras. "They've taken the bait, Phase 2 proceeding as planned." 3 more boarding shuttles had attached to the Defiance, disgorging their warriors into different sections of the ship. All followed the same pattern, cautious advance into seemingly abandoned corridors. "Zhao," Voss said into her comm. "Execute." In the corridor, Major Zhao gave a hand signal. 6 silent projectiles shot downward, striking the Vraxian warriors with pinpoint accuracy. Not bullets or energy beams, but specialized delivery capsules that adhered to their exoskeletons and immediately began pumping their contents through microneedles that penetrated between armor plates. The lead warrior had just enough time to chirp in alarm before his limbs began to seize. Within seconds, all 6 Vraxians lay immobilized on the deck, mandibles working furiously, but bodies paralyzed. Throughout the ship, the scene repeated itself as Omega Team systematically neutralized each boarding party with the same ruthless efficiency. On the Sovereign Dominion, alarm spread through the command bridge. "Admiral," Nexus reported urgently, "we've lost contact with all boarding teams." Cathar's compound eyes narrowed. "Impossible! Scan their vessel again." Scanning. Wait. The technician's mandibles clicked rapidly in confusion. "The ship's power signature is changing. Their systems are coming back online." "What?" Cathar demanded, moving to the console. "That's not possible. Their technology cannot—" "Sir, energy spike detected within their—" The transmission from the Defiance cut off the technician's warning. Captain Voss's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression calm and composed. "Admiral Cathar," she said pleasantly, "I believe it's time we continued our negotiation." "What have you done with my warriors?" Cathar demanded, his translator barely keeping up with his agitated clicking. "They're quite safe, merely immobilized," Voss replied. "A neurotoxin specifically engineered for Vraxian physiology. Very precise, very humane, unlike your treatment of the Alluvians." Thar's body language shifted from confusion to fury. "How do you know of—" "We know everything about you, Admiral," Voss interrupted. "While you were busy dismissing us as primitives, we've spent years studying you. Your biology, your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses." On cue, Commander Orlov activated a sequence on his console. Aboard the Sovereign Dominion, alarms began blaring as systems throughout the massive dreadnought suddenly failed. Weapons went offline, internal communications collapsed, navigation controls locked. "What is happening?" Cathar screamed, his dignified demeanor shattered. Voss smiled. That package we mentioned? It's been delivered. Your boarding shuttles carried more than just warriors back to your ship. They brought our gift, a precisely engineered quantum virus, designed specifically for Vraxian computer architecture. Impossible, Nexus chittered. Our systems are impenetrable. To conventional attacks, perhaps, Voss acknowledged. But again, Admiral, appearances can be deceiving. The Defiance was never a diplomatic vessel. It was bait, and you took it without question. As systems continued to fail across the sovereign dominion, panic spread through its crew. The mighty dreadnought, pride of the Vraxian fleet, hung powerless in space, while the small human vessel now moved with precision and purpose. How? Admiral Cathar demanded, his mandibles clicking furiously. How could you possibly have developed technology capable of this? Captain Voss stood from her command chair, pacing deliberately before the view screen. Because necessity breeds innovation, Admiral, and nothing creates necessity like the threat of extinction. She nodded to Dr. Nasira, who transferred data to the view screen. Detailed schematics of Vraxian technology, weapons systems, shield, generators, engine configurations appeared alongside human adaptations and improvements. 17 years ago, a Vraxian scout ship entered our solar system, Voss explained. It observed our planets, our infrastructure, our capabilities, then departed. We tracked it. We knew you were coming eventually. Cathar's compound eyes widened. That's not possible. Our stealth technology is impressive but not perfect, Voss completed. Especially not against detection systems specifically designed to find what others want to hide. On the Vraxian bridge, Sub-Commander Nexus frantically worked at his console. Admiral, I cannot restore weapons control. Our shields are at minimum capacity. Voss continued as if she hadn't heard the interruption. When we discovered your scout, humanity made a choice. We could announce ourselves to the Galactic community and hope for protection, or we could prepare. We chose the latter. The view screen changed again, showing massive underground facilities on Earth, Mars, and several moons of Jupiter and Saturn. While maintaining the appearance of a species just beginning to reach beyond our solar system, we dedicated our resources to understanding potential threats. Your massacre of the Illuvians provided us with all the motivation we needed, Lieutenant Riven reported. Captain, our systems have successfully integrated with their ship. We have complete control of their life support, navigation, and defensive systems. Thank you, Lieutenant. Voss turned back to the screen. Admiral, the Vraxian hegemony has conquered through intimidation and superior firepower. You've never needed to innovate because you've never faced an adversary who could truly challenge you. That was your first mistake. She gestured, and the view screen split to show multiple locations throughout the dreadnought. Vraxian crew members were collapsing, clutching at their breathing apparatus. Your second mistake was assuming biological superiority, Voss continued. The neurotoxin affecting your boarding parties? It's now being distributed through your ship's ventilation system. Don't worry, it's temporary. We're not genocidal, unlike some species I could mention. Cathar struggled to remain standing as the toxin began affecting him. You cannot defeat the entire hegemony. We don't need to, Voss replied, calmly. At this moment, 37 other Vraxian vessels across your empire are experiencing exactly what you are. Battle cruisers, colony ships, military installations, all simultaneously compromised by sleeper agents we've positioned over the past decade. The Admiral collapsed to his knees, mandibles weakly clicking in disbelief. Voss's voice hardened. Your third and final mistake, Admiral, was believing that a species' worth is measured by the size of their ships or the power of their weapons. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our adaptability, our ability to observe, learn, and evolve. Commander Orlov moved to stand beside his captain. The Defiance was never meant to fight you, Admiral. It was designed to infiltrate you. Every component, Every system, every crew member was selected for this specific mission. "We could destroy your vessel now," Voss said quietly. "We could eliminate your leadership and cripple your empire. But that's not why we're here." With visible effort, Cathar raised his head. "Then, what do you want?" Voss smiled, but it was the smile of a predator. "We want to negotiate those diplomatic relations I mentioned earlier. Only this time, I think you'll find the terms have changed significantly." Admiral Cathar sat rigid in the conference room aboard the Defiance, his exoskeleton still occasionally trembling from the after effects of the neurotoxin. Flanking him were Subcommander Nexus and their Chief Science Officer Vrek, both similarly subdued. Across the polished table sat Captain Voss, Commander Orlov, and Dr. Nasira. "Let me be perfectly clear," Voss began, her voice level. "Right now, your entire command structure across 17 star systems is compromised. Your weapons are disabled. Your communications networks are under our control. Your leadership is isolated." Cathar's mandibles twitched, but he remained silent. "The Vraxian hegemony stands at a crossroads," Voss continued. "The path you've followed, conquest, subjugation, extinction for those who resist, ends today. You speak as if your single victory grants you control over an empire spanning hundreds of worlds," Cathar finally responded, his voice synthesizer, struggling to maintain a dignified tone. Dr. Nasira tapped his datapad, projecting a hologram between them. It showed the Vraxian homeworld, with dozens of small objects in orbit around it. "These satellites were deployed 6 years ago," he explained. "Microscopically small by your detection standards, but extremely sophisticated. They've been monitoring your species, analyzing your vulnerabilities, and waiting for activation codes." "Impossible," Vrek chittered. "No species could have infiltrated our home system undetected." Nasira smiled. "You're thinking like a Vraxian, expecting large ships, obvious power signatures, traditional approaches. Humanity learned long ago that sometimes the smallest solutions solve the largest problems." Voss leaned forward. "We have no desire to destroy your civilization, Admiral. Unlike you, we don't measure our worth by the species we've conquered. We're offering you something the hegemony has never offered its victims: choice." She nodded to Orlov, who distributed tablets to each Vraxian. The devices displayed a comprehensive peace treaty, detailing terms of coexistence, technological exchange protocols, and immediate cessation of all conquest operations. "These are our terms," Voss stated. "The hegemony will withdraw from all territories acquired in the last 50 years, allowing those species to determine their own governance. You will provide reparations to the survivors of your campaigns, and you will acknowledge humanity as equals, not subjects, not vassals, not conquered primitives." Kthar's compound eyes studied the document. "And if we refuse?" Voss didn't blink. "Then we activate the satellites. Your military infrastructure will collapse, your leadership will be decapitated, and the 16 species you've subjugated will learn exactly how vulnerable their oppressors have become." The conference room fell silent. Finally, Nexus spoke. "How? Can we trust that you won't simply destroy us anyway, once we've complied?" "Because we're not you," Orlov replied bluntly. "Humanity has had the capability to annihilate your civilization for 3 years. We chose negotiation instead." Dr. Nasira added, "Our species has fought countless wars among ourselves. We've learned, painfully, that true strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us." Cathar clicked his mandibles rapidly, the Vraxian equivalent of contemplative silence. Finally, he looked directly at Captain Voss. "You have deceived us utterly," he stated. "You presented weakness when you possessed strength. You appeared primitive when you were advanced. You showed fear when you felt none." "Yes," Voss acknowledged simply. "In Vraxian culture, such deception would be celebrated as tactical brilliance," Cathar continued. Yet you claim moral superiority. Captain Voss smiled thinly. The deception wasn't about morality, Admiral. It was necessity. You left us no alternative when you decimated the Illuvians. We needed to demonstrate that humanity cannot be judged by your standards or approached with your usual tactics. She pushed back from the table, standing to her full height. The treaty remains on the table. You have 6 hours, the same time frame you gave us for surrender. The difference is that our offer actually allows your civilization to continue. As the Vraxian delegation was escorted back to their shuttle, Commander Orlov turned to his captain. Do you think they'll sign? Voss watched. The aliens depart, their once proud postures now uncertain. They're pragmatists beneath the aggression. They'll calculate the odds and make the rational choice. And if they don't? Voss's expression hardened. Then humanity will reluctantly add another entry to our long history of defending ourselves against those who underestimated us. 6 hours later, the bridge of the Defiance hummed with tension. Captain Voss stood at the viewport, watching the massive Vraxian dreadnought that now seemed less a threat and more a monument to arrogance. Time's up, Orlov reported quietly. Voss nodded. Hail them. The view screen activated, showing Admiral Cathar in what appeared to be a council chamber. Behind him stood not just his original delegation, but 20 additional Vraxian officials, their carapaces decorated with the insignia of high rank. Captain Voss, Cathar began, his voice synthesizer modulated to project composure. I have consulted with the Imperial Conclave. Your demonstration has been illuminating. Voss remained impassive. And your decision? The Vraxian hegemony has existed for 15 centuries, Cathar replied. In that time, we have encountered hundreds of species. Some joined us willingly. Others required persuasion. None, not one, has ever done what humanity has accomplished. He gestured, and a Vraxian in elaborate ceremonial armor stepped forward, carrying what appeared to be an ancient tablet. The Testament of Empire, Cathar explained. Our most sacred document. It contains but one law. The strong shall lead, the weak shall follow. For 15 centuries, we have interpreted this to mean that military might determines the hierarchy of species. And now, Voss prompted, now we understand that strength takes many forms. Cathar's compound eyes fixed on her. Your species, physically weaker, numerically fewer, technologically appearing less advanced, infiltrated our empire, compromised our defenses, and brought us to submission without firing a single conventional weapon. On the Defiance's bridge, the crew exchanged glances. The treaty has been ratified, Cathar continued. The hegemony will withdraw as specified. Reparations will begin immediately. And humanity will be acknowledged not just as equals, but as teachers. Captain Voss raised an eyebrow. Teachers? Your victory was not just in technology, but in philosophy, Cathar explained. You demonstrated that true strength lies in patience, in knowledge, in understanding your adversary so completely that you need not destroy them to defeat them. He bowed his head slightly. An unprecedented gesture from a Vraxian leader. We request that human representatives join our Imperial Conclave as advisors. Help us transform the hegemony from conquerors to collaborators. The bridge fell silent. Voss looked to her officers, seeing their stunned expressions. Admiral, she responded carefully, such a partnership would require significant changes in how the hegemony operates. Yes, Thar agreed. And it begins today. He gestured, and the view screen split to show Vraxian vessels across the Empire withdrawing from occupied worlds. As a demonstration of our commitment, Lieutenant Riven confirmed from his console, Captain, we're receiving reports from our intelligence network. Vraxian forces are standing down across all 17 contested systems. Dr. Nasira spoke from his station. The neurotoxin should be fully metabolized within their systems by now, This isn't coercion. They're acting autonomously. Voss studied the Admiral's body language, recognizing genuine commitment in the set, of his mandibles and the posture of his thorax. Humanity had researched Vraxian psychology exhaustively. She knew sincerity when she saw it. "Admiral Cathar," she said finally, "Earth's government will need to ratify any ongoing diplomatic relationship. But speaking for this vessel and its crew, we accept your proposal in principle." Cathar's mandibles clicked in what the humans now recognized as relief. "Then the Vraxian-human accord begins today. Your single vessel has changed the course of an empire, Captain Voss. History will remember this moment." After the transmission ended, the bridge erupted in subdued celebration. Commander Orlov approached his captain, who remained thoughtful by the viewport. "We did it," he said quietly. "Without firing a shot, without destroying their civilization, just as you said we could." Voss nodded slowly. "A victory not just for Earth, but for a different way of thinking about strength and power." She turned to face her crew. "Send word to command. Operation Trojan is complete, with the best possible outcome." As the Defiance prepared to depart, the once threatening Vraxian fleet formed an honor guard around the small human vessel. The irony wasn't lost on anyone, the mighty hegemony paying tribute to the ship they had dismissed as insignificant mere hours earlier. In her quarters, Captain Voss recorded her final log entry of the mission. The Vraxians defined strength by dominance. They measured power by the ability to destroy. They categorized species by their apparent capabilities rather than their potential. In doing so, they nearly missed the most important lesson the universe has to teach. True strength lies not in conquering others, but in understanding them, not in demonstrating superiority, but in recognizing diversity, not in force of arms, but in force of ideas. One human vessel changed the course of an empire today, not because we were secretly more powerful, but because we were fundamentally more adaptable. The Vraxians dismissed us as weak until we showed them the power of being underestimated. Perhaps there's a lesson here for all species reaching for the stars. Judge not by appearance, threaten not out of arrogance, and never, ever dismiss humanity as weak. We've been testing ourselves against the impossible since we first gazed upward and wondered what lay beyond our world. In the end, it wasn't our weapons that saved us, but our humanity, and that may be the greatest victory of all. As the Defiance engaged its engines and set course for Earth, the crew looked back at the Vraxian fleet, no longer enemies but the first participants in a new chapter of galactic cooperation born. From the day they dismissed humanity as weak, and one human vessel made them beg,